In a statement by Vladimir Rogov, an official placed by Russia in Ukraine, it has been reported that Ukrainian troops successfully seized the village of Piatykhatky in the Zaporizhia region. This represents the second victory for Kyiv in this area since the initiation of its counteroffensive this month. According to Rogov, the Ukrainian military engaged in multiple attack sequences resulting in the loss of hundreds of their own soldiers. The Defense Ministry of Russia has stated that their troops managed to fend off several Ukrainian offensives across 3 divisions of the battlefront. While they noted that the highest level of activity was seen in the Zaporizhia region, they did not acknowledge the fall of Piatykhatky. However, Ukraine's military disclosed that their air force executed 14 assaults on Russian locations, decimating 2 anti-aircraft missile systems in the process. Serhiy Brachuk, representing the military administration of Odessa, declared that Ukraine annihilated a considerable ammunition storage facility close to Henichesk, a port city under Russian control located in the southern Kherson region. The United Kingdom reported considerable casualties for both Russia and Ukraine as the latter continues its efforts to dislodge Kremlin's forces from seized territories. The most severe conflict was experienced in the southeastern region of Zaporizhia, specifically around Bakhmut, and further west in the eastern Donetsk region. Yevgeny Prigozhin, head of Russia's Wagner group, stated that 32,000 personnel, initially recruited from Russian prisons, have returned to their homeland following the termination of their contracts with the mercenary force engaged in Ukraine. On the diplomatic front, despite lukewarm reception from both Moscow and Kyiv, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa reaffirmed the effectiveness of the African peace mission concerning the war in Ukraine. Ramaphosa assured continued dialogue with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky about their proposed solution. The UK Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, will call upon businesses to escalate investments, aiding the reconstruction of Ukraine at the upcoming Ukraine Recovery Conference in London. The 2-day event anticipates a virtual attendance from President Zelensky, as stated by the organizers. On the subject of weaponry, Thierry Breton, the European Union's industrial chief, indicated the EU's expedited supply of arms to Ukraine to bolster their counteroffensive against Russian forces. In a conversation with the French publication Le Parisien, Breton revealed the EU's preparation for a war scenario that could potentially persist for several more months or even longer. According to a statement on Facebook by the naval forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, which was reported by Ukrinform, Russia is maintaining 3 vessels, one of which is a missile carrier, on active combat duty in the Black Sea. As of 10 o'clock, the Black Sea contained 3 hostile vessels, including one that is equipped with Kaliber cruise missiles. Furthermore, the Russian Federation is reported to have 1 vessel in the Sea of Azov. In the Mediterranean Sea, the presence of up to 8 hostile vessels, including a Kaliber missile carrier capable of firing a salvo of up to 16 missiles, has been reported. Ukrinform also indicated that the Air Force has issued warnings concerning potential enemy activity in the southeast direction and the likely deployment of guided aerial bombs. Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister, Hanna Maliar, highlighted in a Telegram post, covered by Ukrinform, that Russian occupation forces have escalated their troop presence and are making efforts to advance towards Lyman and Kupiansk. Furthermore, they have amassed a substantial contingent of airborne assault units in the east. Maliar portrayed the situation in the east as challenging, with the enemy amplifying its forces and actively pushing an offensive towards Lyman and Kupiansk. The intent behind these maneuvers, according to Maliar, is to seize the strategic initiative. The Deputy Defense Minister further reported increased enemy artillery activity and ongoing intense combat situations. Maliar underscored that the adversary remains committed to its ambition of reaching the borders of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions. She stated, "The enemy's primary attack trajectory is currently focused in this direction. Consequently, they have positioned a considerable number of their units in the east, especially airborne assault units." Despite the enemy's numerical and material advantage, Maliar praised the bravery of Ukrainian troops who are successfully holding their lines and thwarting enemy advancements. Previously, Maliar had revealed that Ukrainian forces made gains across several sectors in the Bakhmut direction over the last week. As reported by Ukrinform, the British Ministry of Defense disclosed on Twitter, based on intelligence data, that Russia has likely begun shifting components of its Dnipro Group of Forces, DGF, from the eastern bank of the Dnipro River to strengthen its positions in the Zaporizhia and Bakhmut sectors. The report stated that the relocation could possibly encompass several thousand troops from the 49th Army, inclusive of its 34th Separate Motorized Brigade, in addition to airborne forces, VDV, and naval infantry units. The intelligence data further suggested that the redeployment of the DGF might indicate Russia's assessment that a substantial Ukrainian offensive across the Dnipro has become less probable following the collapse of the Kakhovka Dam and the consequent flooding. In a prior report, British intelligence had revealed that the Russian forces had endured their most substantial losses in the final 4 months of the conflict with Ukraine. Mykola Lukashuk, the leader of the Dnipropetrovsk Regional Council, revealed on Telegram that the Russian military launched heavy artillery at Nikopol, located in the Dnipropetrovsk region, resulting in civilian injuries. This was reported by Ukrinform. Lukashuk reported that a male civilian, born in 1950, suffered injuries due to the shelling. The injured man, who sustained explosive and mine injuries, has been transported to a hospital in Dnipro for treatment. In addition, the council had pointed out that the artillery attack resulted in substantial infrastructural damage. 2 commercial structures were completely destroyed, and damage was inflicted on 16 private residences, 9 commercial buildings, a gas pipeline, and a power transmission line within the city. Ukrainian Security Service, SBU members, managed to destroy a Russian Murom-M surveillance system, 6 armored vehicles, a mortar team, and eliminated 16 enemy combatants, as per a report posted on Telegram by the Security Service of Ukraine. The operation was executed by Group 3 of the main department of the SBU in the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, and a corresponding video was published along with the report. The invaders had installed a radio surveillance system near the contact line to continuously monitor the movement of the Ukrainian military. Additionally, our troops managed to destroy 4 enemy BMP-2 infantry fighting vehicles, 2 multi-purpose tracked armored vehicles, and a mortar team, taking out 16 crew members in the process, stated the report. As previously reported, in May 2023, the Ukrainian armed forces managed to destroy over 550 artillery units belonging to the Russian invaders, and this number is projected to increase in June. The afternoon of June 19th saw Russian forces launching artillery assaults on settlements in the Berislav district, Kherson Oblast, resulting in 3 individuals being injured, as confirmed by the press service of the Kherson Oblast Prosecutor General's office. Specifically, around 14 o'clock, the village of Burhunka fell victim to the Russian attacks, leading to injuries among 2 local inhabitants. Later, at approximately 16:30, the village of Shliakova was similarly targeted. The assault caused severe injuries to a woman who was subsequently transported to the hospital. Residential properties and ancillary structures sustained damage due to these assaults. In response to these events, law enforcement agencies are prioritizing measures to document these offenses committed by the Russians. The most notable events that transpired on June 19th include the Defense Ministry of Ukraine verifying the liberation of Piatykhatky in the southern Zaporizhia Oblast, while also pointing out the challenging circumstances in the east. The UK asserting its sanctions will continue until Russia funds Ukraine's reconstruction. Overnight missile and drone attacks on Ukraine by Russia. Claims by Russian officials about new attacks in Russia and occupied Crimea. The confirmation on June 19th of the freedom of Piatykhatky village in Zaporizhia Oblast marks the total of 8 settlements liberated since the launch of the counteroffensive. This statement was made after Vladimir Rogov, a Russian-appointed proxy in Zaporizhia Oblast, declared that Ukrainian forces had captured the village on June 18th. However, this claim was later refuted by Russia's defense ministry. Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar announced on June 19th via telegram that the Ukrainian forces have successfully freed Novodarivka, Levadne, Storozheve, Makarivka, Blahodatna, Lobkova, Neskuchna, and Piatykhatky, thereby reclaiming an area spanning 113 square kilometers. She confirmed that the Ukrainian forces have advanced up to 7 kilometers in the south. The UK Defense Ministry, on the same day, reported that Russia had begun shifting its forces from the eastern bank of the Dnipro River in Kherson Oblast to fortify the Zaporizhia and Bakhmut sectors. Later in the day, Maliar revealed that Russia had bolstered its forces along Ukraine's eastern front line, aiming to press forward towards Lyman and Kupiansk to seize the initiative. She noted that Russia had amassed a significant number of its forces in Ukraine's east and hadn't forfeited its ambitions to control Donetsk and Luhansk oblasts entirely. The region, as per her, currently stands as the primary offensive area for the Russian troops. Maliar further reported that Ukrainian forces were successfully hindering enemy advancement amidst an intensified situation in the region, escalated Russian shelling, and heavy combat. During a national telethon, Air Force spokesman Yuri Inat reassured the public that all Patriot air defense systems remain fully operational. He observed that the Russians seem to be particularly intrigued by the topic of Patriot systems. Inat highlighted that the Russian military has been propagating the notion that they are wreaking havoc across Ukraine, which he deems a part of their propaganda strategy, aimed at showcasing the alleged superiority of Russian weaponry over their Western counterparts. However, Inat emphasized that all Patriots are functioning effectively and safeguarding the Ukrainian airspace. He referred to the successful interception of 6 Kinzhals on June 16th as evidence of their operational efficacy. He added, "Russia is intent on decimating all our weaponry." Previously, the Russian leader Vladimir Putin made an unfounded claim about Ukrainian weaponry being destroyed by the invaders. Putin alleged that 5 Patriot systems near Kyiv had been neutralized by the Russian army. On June 1st, President Zelensky proposed the formation of a Patriot coalition to fortify Ukraine's air defense infrastructure. Russian media outlets have repeatedly propagated false information that their military has succeeded in destroying Patriot systems in Ukraine. These falsehoods have been consistently debunked by the Air Force of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. Even in cases where the system suffered minor damage, it was promptly repaired. As per Zelensky, Ukraine requires 50 Patriot batteries to adequately protect its civilian population from certain types of Russian missiles. General Zaluzhny disclosed that both he and Shaptala have been collaborating with troop units tasked with executing the most challenging assignments in regions witnessing the most intense combat. He emphasized that the Russians are making a concerted effort to impede the progression of Ukrainian forces. In order to achieve this, they have established an intricate defense network, replete with dense minefields and significant reserve forces. In spite of the robust resistance from the invaders, Zaluzhny maintained that Ukrainian soldiers are determinedly working towards liberating their territory. The operation is proceeding as planned, he asserted. As per the information from the General Staff, the Russians are primarily concentrating their efforts on the Lyman, Bakhmut, Avdiivka, and Mariinka sectors, where fierce fighting continues to persist. A total of 39 combat engagements were reported throughout the day. French President Emmanuel Macron confirmed the deployment and operation of the SAMPT air defense system in Kyiv, as reported by RAI. He shared his pleasure about the successful activation of the Franco-Italian SAMPT in Ukraine, which now safeguards critical locations and lives. The SAMPT Mamba, Europe's first long-range anti-missile system, is equipped with 8 Aster missiles in its launchers, each with a range of approximately 100 kilometers. President Macron further announced that Belgium will be given observer status in the Future Air Combat System, SCAF, a comprehensive program spearheaded by France, Germany, and Spain. Despite encountering numerous delays, the SCAF is projected to be operational by 2040. Furthermore, Macron disclosed that a collective purchase of short-range Mistral surface-to-air missiles is set to take place involving France, Estonia, Hungary, Belgium, and Cyprus. These missiles have the capability to hit targets up to 6 kilometers away. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky said that not a single Patriot air defense system was destroyed. Almost 36 missiles and about 50 attack drones were destroyed in 7 days. All calibers and kinzals were destroyed during these attacks, he said in a video message on Sunday evening. No matter who in Russia says that our patriots have been destroyed, they are still here, they are working. All of them are shooting down Russian missiles. As efficiently as possible, not a single patriot has been destroyed, he said. The Ukrainian Air Force reported that during the night of June 19th, they successfully intercepted and eliminated 4 Russian caliber cruise missiles and 4 Iranian-made Shahed 136-131 attack drones. These were launched against targets in the southern and eastern directions. The caliber cruise missiles were reportedly launched from a submarine in the Black Sea, while the Iranian Shahed drones were launched from the eastern coast of the Sea of Azov. In conclusion, the Ukrainian Air Force stated that all 8 air targets were destroyed by their air defense systems within the areas of responsibility of the South Air Command of the East Air Command. Hanna Maliar, the Deputy Defense Minister of Ukraine, reported that the situation in the east is difficult with increased enemy forces actively advancing in the Limany and Kupiansk directions. According to her, the enemy is trying to seize the initiative, and high activity of enemy attacks is recorded with intense fighting ongoing. Maliar emphasized that the enemy has not abandoned its plans to reach the borders of Donetsk and Luhansk regions, and this currently represents the primary direction of the enemy's offensive. To counter these actions, Ukraine has concentrated a significant number of its units in the east, particularly airborne assault units. Despite the enemy's superiority in forces and means, Maliar asserted that Ukrainian troops are acting courageously and are not allowing the enemy to advance. Ukraine's commander-in-chief of the armed forces, Valery Zaluzhny, has reported that he and the chief of the general staff, Serhiy Shaptala, have been working alongside groups of troops who are carrying out the most difficult tasks in the areas of fiercest combat. Zaluzhny reported that the enemy has established a system of fortifications and laid dense minefields, as well as deploying a large number of reserves in an effort to prevent the advance of Ukrainian units. Despite the intense resistance, Zaluzhny expressed confidence in the Ukrainian military, stating that they are doing everything in their power to liberate the occupied territory of Ukraine. Zaluzhny concluded by asserting that the operation is proceeding according to plan, indicating that the Ukrainian military is steadfast in their strategy despite the challenges they are facing.